Almost every wealthy person that you've ever respected got rich by doing one simple thing that most people would describe as being boring. Not exciting, not glamorous, not viral, but boring. And the reason that 90% of people stay broke is because they keep choosing the exciting thing over the boring one. And if you started and quit again, then you're in the exact right place. So today I'm breaking down the 3 crucial shifts of the boredom tax, which is gonna absolutely change your perspective on how you see success. And I'm gonna give you the secret to why being bored is the cost of getting rich, and how to make sure that you guys can keep this going until you find the success that you want. But you're probably thinking, who's this guy? Well, my name is Aaron, and a couple years ago, I was in over $40,000 worth of debt and had no idea what I was doing with my life. And I was chasing pretty much every single big money move you think that could possibly be done. I'm talking crypto, trading, I'm talking writing self-published books on Amazon. I did freelance designing, everything you could probably think of, I've tried. I had a shiny new idea every 2 weeks, but the thing is that none of it worked. And the best thing, what pulled me out of that debt and to making 5 figures a month every single month was mind-numbingly boring. It was me sat in front of a screen on my laptop doing the same thing day in, day out for an extended period of time. And so if you actually want to start compounding money, compounding success, and making that move forward, then this is definitely the video for you. So here's the biggest lie that most people hear about getting rich: that somewhere out there's an exciting angle, move, or strategy that's gonna get you there really quick. And then what tends to happen is a week in, a month in, maybe in a few months in sometimes, it's not working the way that you thought it would, and it's not happening as fast as you wanted it to, and so you think, well, this must not be the right thing for me. But here's what's actually happening. I want you to think about this as a scale. At the beginning, things are going well. It's exciting, you're motivated, things are going well because you're learning, and then you're starting to see yourself go up. And then what happens is that you hit that part where everybody quits. And that's what I call the boring middle. And most people's success, funnily enough, is found inside that boring middle. And that's where true wealth is actually created. And it's the part between starting and succeeding that nobody films and nobody talks about, where you're not seeing growth, but underneath your efforts are compounding, and that's actually the start of something great. But the brutal truth is that 90% of people quit once they get to that part. And it's the 10% who actually make it through it, who look back, and now you're asking them, hey, how did you do it? And this is the crazy thing. The gap between where you are and the most successful people, it's not a massive gap. What it comes down to is the fact that they're able to do the boring thing over and over again, whereas you're quitting before you get to that stage. They're not smarter than you, they're not luckier than you, they're just happy in the boring middle. So the first shift of the boredom tax is realizing that boredom is the price tag of all the results that you want to get. And most people misread this problem. A couple weeks in, a couple months into whatever endeavor that you guys are going down, what you'll find is that boredom starts creeping in, and then that's when the mindset comes across of, hey, this might not be for me. But boredom is just the brain's way of telling you that the novelty's worn off, that this isn't a new and exciting thing anymore. And the novelty is basically the free tax that you pay to get these ideas started and get this stuff off the ground, but now it's the boredom tax that you've got to pay to continue on going. So imagine your favorite athletes like your LeBrons, your Ronaldos, your Lewis Hamiltons. You see the wins, the podiums, the trophies, but what you don't see is the gym, the training, the endurance, everything that goes in behind the scenes. And the point I'm trying to make is that 80% of their life is boring. It's the same stuff, the same things over and over again. And then it's that 20% where you're at the top, which is what the 80% is worth it for. And it's the same maths for life. The job interviews, the cold emails, the 18 months starting up a business, they all feel like they hurt because it's boring. And the payoff, when it comes, you know it's come from grind. Whereas from the outside, it looks like luck. The reality of it is that you paid the boredom tax. So one thing I want you to think about is, what's the one thing in your life right now that you always end up quitting? For a lot of people, it might be gym, it could be a diet, it could be a favorite podcast or reading books. And I want you to really focus on that. And I want you to ask yourself, have I paid my boredom tax? Have I done the boring middle? Or have I keep quitting, or I am quitting because the novelty's wearing off? The majority of people, I'm talking 99% of people, quit because of the boredom tax. Don't be one of those people. And that brings me on to the second shift, which is going to be the excitement trap. And this is everywhere right now, especially online. I mean, you just think about when you open your phone, how many times do you see someone whose life seems way more exciting than yours is? Whether it's someone who was a millionaire overnight, an 18-year-old driving a Lamborghini, someone who's making 10K a month off TikTok Shop. The problem is that what it's showing you is the exception, not the rule. So what's happening is that subconsciously your brain is being rewired to see those exceptions as the actual rule. And so you start to expect all the exciting wins and all the dopamine straight away, rather than the compounding effect of the work that goes in to get them. And that's the trap, because the minute you hit the boring middle and the boredom tax needs to be paid, a new shiny object appears, a new avenue, a new endeavor, and it's just so easy to switch. And I used to do that all the time, and it stopped my progress so much. And this is the problem with today's society, and it's not your fault. This is why you find it difficult, because your attention is always focused on the new exciting thing, and so it's very hard for you to get into a place where you can compound effort and do the boring thing. However, the escape from this, it's simple, but it can be brutal. You need to stop measuring your own progress against external things, and instead of that, you need to start measuring it internally and thinking about your own compounding efforts. And here's what it looked like for me. Honestly, the first 6 months of being in the boring middle, I was making hardly any money. I was definitely not enjoying it. It was very hard. And a lot of times I saw a new shiny object and I thought, ooh, this might be better for me. But I stuck in the boring middle. And I had to tell myself, hey, the exciting part comes at the end, not the beginning. And it did. As soon as I passed like the 6 months mark, things started turning. I was making more money than I'd ever made before. I actually started enjoying things, because instead of being incompetent at something, I was very confident in my ability to use the skills that I'd been learning and trying. And what that meant is that I was getting more back from the input I was putting in. So when I was working 30 hours before, I was getting a 20% return. Now I'm working 25 hours and I'm getting 100% return. And once that compounding hits, things start to move fast. And so the brutal part of this is what I want you guys to do. And what that is to pick one action, and you're gonna choose that path and you're gonna stick with it for 12 months. And I know 12 months feels like a long time right now, but in the grand scheme of things, it's a blip in your life. And it only has to be one thing. Pick it, write it down, and action on it. Whether that's a diet, whether that's a gym plan, whether it's a side hustle, a business, whatever you wanna pick, choose it and stick with it. And to help with this is the third shift. And this is probably the biggest factor into whether you do make it or you don't. And what I call it is the 1,000-day horizon. Most people, I'm talking above 90% of people, operate on a 30-day horizon. It's too short. In 30 days, you're not going to find the success that you want, unless you're running scams or you're very lucky, but both of those things can run out. Now, how the wealthy operate is they operate on a bigger time frame. 1,000 days, you're talking 3 years. And before you look at a new path or a new endeavor or business or whatever it is that you want to go down, you need to ask yourself the hard question of, am I willing to do this for 1,000 days? Am I willing to put 3 years into this to make sure that it works? If it's a yes, get going. If it's a no, don't even bother starting. And that single internalization and question is what's going to stop 99% of distractions from making you switch paths, because you can use this to filter everything out. If you see a new course online, well, am I willing to put 3 years into this? No. Well, I'm not even going to look at it. Am I going to start this side hustle? Am I willing to do it for 1,000 days? No. So I'm not going to bother with it. And what this does is it helps you start making the decisions of, I'm going to stay away from the stuff that's temporary and focus on one thing that's going to be permanent. And so when you can truly sit down and say, hey, I'm willing to spend 1,000 days on this, I promise you, once you hit the boring middle, you're gonna get through it. And the reason 1,000 days works is because it's maths. Because if you can take one action every single day for 1,000 days, best believe in 3 years, you're gonna be in the top 1% of people trying to do that. You're gonna be a different person from the raw number of reps alone. The skills you build, the audience that you grow, the body that you manage to achieve. None of this takes ridiculous amounts of intelligence. It takes time, effort, and consistency. And the crazy thing is, I meet rich people all the time that operate off this horizon horizon and they feel like it's nothing. 3 years is just a small part of their journey because internally they know that they just had to do the boring things. And 3 years when you're trying to build something ultra successful and live the life they want to live isn't a long time at all. And I swear to you, if I would have known this at 18 years old, I'd be a multi-millionaire already. But I learned this the hard way, but you guys can action this stuff now. And so what I want you to do before you make any decisions on a new endeavor or trying something different, ask yourself the 1,000-day question. Am I willing to do this for 1,000 days, day after day? And like I said, if the answer is yes, then let's get going. And if it's no, please stay away. Because I can tell you this much, the future of what your bank account looks like is decided on the answer to that 1,000-day question. And so here's the main things that I want you to take away, if anything, from this video today. Boredom isn't a problem, it's a tax. You need to pay it. An excitement trap will pull you off your path 99% of the time. You need to avoid it. And the 1,000-day filter is what's going to keep you focused and keep you from straying off track. And so I want you to go into the comments or go onto my Instagram and shoot me a DM. And I want you to tell me what is going to be the 1,000-day question. What are you asking that about? And I want to know what you guys are going to be focused on for the next few years. Because I can promise you this, if you come back here in 3 years and you ask that question and you stuck with the 1,000 days, you guys are going to be so successful, it's going to be crazy. And if this opened your mind and helped you in any way, what I want you to do is go and have a look at this video here where I break down another concept which again is going to help you guys start moving towards the success that you're trying to find. And on top of that, make sure you subscribe below and hit the notification bell so you guys get shown when I drop a new video each and every week. Until then, I'll check you next time.